Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prevajakacharya Asatyasra Shishiman, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Gauta Vaishnavani Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Sikha Host Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Maya Pranavidam Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Jamunamaya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Go Premanandi. All glories some of the devotees, all glories some of the devotees, all glories some of the devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsingadev with prayers. This is a very important verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada would quite often quote it. Nayavod Vijay Para Daratyaya Vaitaranyas Tvad Virya Gayana Mahamrita Magna Chitta Soche Tato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyarta Maya Sukhaya Baram Udbhato Vimudhan Naivod Vijay Paradaratyaya Vaitaranyas Vadhirya Gaina Mahamrita Magna Chitta So Chetato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyarta Maya Sukhaya Banam Udbhato Vimudhan Naivod Vijay Paradaratyaya Vaitaranyas Vadhirya Gaina Mahamrita Magna Chitta So Chetato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyarta Maya Sukhaya Banam Udbhato Vimudhan Naivod Vijay Paradaratyaya Vaitaranyas Vadhirya Gaina Mahamrita Magna Chitta So Chetato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyarta Maya Sukhaya Banam Udbhato Vimudhan Go ahead. Naivo Vijay Prabhu. Mataji's? Na, not. Eva, certainly. Udvijay, I am disturbed or afraid. Para, O Supreme. Duratyaya, insurmountable or very difficult to cross. Vaitaranya, of the Vaitarani, the river of the material world. Vatvirya, of your Lordship's glories and activities. Gayana, from chanting or distributing. Maham Amrita, in the great ocean of nectarine spiritual bliss. Magna Chitta, whose consciousness is absorbed. Soche, I am simply lamenting. Tata, from that. Vimukha Chaitasa, the fools and rascals who are bereft of Krishna consciousness. Indriya Artha, in sense gratification. Maya Sukhaya, for temporary illusory happiness. Bharam, the false burden of responsibility, of maintaining one's family, society, and nation, and elaborate arrangements for that purpose. Udvata, who are lifting by making grand plans for this arrangement. Vimudhan, although all of them are nothing but fools and rascals, I am thinking of them also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. Wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintain their families, societies and countries. I'm simply concerned with love for them. Purport. Throughout the entire world, everyone is making big, big plans to adjust the miseries of the material world. And this is true at present, in the past, and in the future. Nonetheless, although they make elaborate political, social, and cultural plans, they have all been described herein as vimudha, fools. The material world has been described in Bhagavad Gita as dukkhalayam ashashvatam, temporary and miserable. But these fools are trying to turn the material world into sukhalayam, a place of happiness, not knowing how everything acts by the arrangement of material nature, which works in her own way. Prakrite krimanani gunaya kramani sarvasa. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. There is a plan for material nature, personally known as Durga, to punish the demons. Although the Asuras, the godless demons, struggle for existence, they are directly attacked by the goddess Durga, who is well equipped with 10 hands with different types of weapons to punish them. She is carried by her lion carrier, or the modes of passion and ignorance. Everyone struggles very hard to fight through the modes of passion and ignorance and conquer material nature, but at the end, everyone is vanquished by nature's laws. There is a river known as Vaitarani between the material and spiritual worlds, and one must cross this river to reach the other side, or the spiritual world. This is an extremely difficult task. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Daivihesa guna mayi, mama maya duratya. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. The same word, duratya, meaning very difficult, is used here. Therefore, one cannot surpass the stringent laws of material nature except by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Nonetheless, although all materialists are baffled in their plans, they try again and again to become happy in this material world. Therefore, they have been described as vimudha, first-class fools. As for Prahlad Maharaj, he was not at all unhappy, for although he was in the material world, he was full of Krishna consciousness. Those who are Krishna conscious, trying to serve the Lord, are not unhappy, whereas one who has no assets in Krishna consciousness and is struggling for existence is not only foolish but extremely unhappy also. Prahlad Maharaj was happy and unhappy simultaneously. He felt happiness and transcendental bliss because of his being Krishna conscious. Yet he felt great unhappiness for the fools and rascals who make elaborate plans to be happy in this material world. Om Jnanatamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kotavachalam Pongam Nanhaite Yat Kripataraham Bande Shikarum Dinataranam Vanchikalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prahlad Maharaj was a very exalted devotee of Krishna. So much so that although he was very happy, he felt unhappy at the same time. Anybody ever heard of such a thing? You never feel happiness and unhappiness at the same time. But he felt this, because he was happy in Krishna consciousness. It's described here, he had no fear, happy in the service of Krishna. But he was unhappy upon seeing the suffering of the conditioned souls. Tapyante lokatapena sadhava prayasojana. That it's very common for devotees of the Lord to accept some inconvenience to help the fallen souls, the suffering souls, to advance in spiritual life. And this is considered to be the highest method of worshiping Krishna. It's like we're worshiping the deity here every day. We're offering so many things to the deities. We're offering bhoga and flame and water and cloth. But what pleases Krishna the most is when we go out and try to help people come to Krishna. When we bring a conditioned soul here to the temple, and Krishna sees that conditioned soul after such a long time, maybe millions of lifetimes, finally the soul is coming before Krishna. Krishna is very pleased because he comes here for that purpose. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavita bharata. That whenever there's a predominant rise of irreligion and decline in religious practice, at that time I descend myself. So therefore Lord Chaitanya came for this purpose. And not only he came, but he sends his pure devotees. Maya mugdha jivar nahishvati Krishna gyan jivara kupoya kola Krishna Veda Puran. That the living entity cannot revive his Krishna consciousness on his own. Therefore Krishna comes himself. He gives us the Vedic literatures, sends his pure devotees. So many ways Krishna is trying to help us. So if we help Krishna in this mission, Sarvasakino Bhavantu, this is the mission of the Krishna consciousness movement, is to see that everybody becomes happy. It's a big challenge. Big challenge. But that's the mission. Sarvasakino Bhavantu. But in order for us to help others become happy, we have to also be happy. And of course that comes by Krishna consciousness. Akinchana dantasya santasya samachetasa maya santusa manasa sarva sukha maya disha. That anybody who is free of material desires, completely free of material desires, that's another big challenge. Akinchana dantasya, whose senses are controlled. Someone who controls his senses is known as a Goswami. And someone whose senses are out of control is called a Godas, servant of the senses. So pretty much as we heard here, people are just absorbed in sense gratification. They're thinking that happiness will come by satisfying their senses, by getting a lot of money, big house, big car. But no, this is called Maya Sukhaya, as we're hearing here from Prahlad Maharaj. No. Better to control the senses, engage our senses in the service of Krishna. Then we're satisfied. If we engage our senses in the service of Krishna, then we're satisfied. Sarva pariva nirvudam tatpratmena nirvudam. Hrisikena hrisikesa sevana bhakti ruchate. If we engage our senses in the service of Krishna, we get two big, wonderful side effects of that. Our senses become purified. Our mind and our senses become purified. And wouldn't that be nice to have a pure mind? Purified senses. And we become free of designations. So many designations. I'm American, I'm Australian, I'm Indian, I'm man, I'm woman. This is all illusion. This is all Maya. We're all spirit souls, eternal servants of Krishna. This is the position of all living entities. Akinchanasya dantasya santasya. And it was peaceful. Krishna bhakta nishkama ateva shanta. The devotees of the Lord, they're very peaceful. Why? Because no material desires. But persons who bhukti mukti siddhikami sakliya santa, who were filled with material desires, desire liberation, just so many desires. And even sometimes you find people that they're meditating, and the goal is to get free of desire. But there's a problem there. That's also desire. To get free of desire is also desire. We can't get free of desire. We can get free of material desire and just have spiritual desire. That's the goal, to just have spiritual desire. Just the desire to serve Krishna. And Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that what pleases him. Yaidang paramanguyam. Anyone who is preaching this message of Bhagavad Gita is very dear to me. and there'll never be anyone more dear to me. So Krishna, he's given us a secret here, a very confidential secret, how to please him. So if we preach this message of Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, then Krishna's very pleased. And if we can please Krishna, what more is there to do? We've achieved the perfection of life. And Prabhupada also said, if you want to please me, distribute books. So this is very pleasing to Krishna and very pleasing to the pure devotees. So, very auspicious activity. And it helps us to become peaceful. Because to distribute books, you have to really focus on Krishna. And by focusing on Krishna, we become peaceful. So, akinchana dantasya santasya samachetasa. Samachetasa means to see everyone equally. Just like Prabhupada when he went to Africa. He noticed that the devotees there, they were just preaching to the Indians, because there's a lot of Indians in Africa. They weren't preaching to the indigenous people, Africans. And Prabhupada said, why is this? Oh, Prabhupada, they're not very interested. Prabhupada said, no, open the door for the Africans. And they did. And when Prabhupada went there, it was filled with Africans. So much for them not being interested. So many Africans are devotees now. Nice devotees. I've been to Africa, traveled around Africa. So many nice devotees. So why? Because Prabhupada went there and said, no, don't be filled with these designations. Oh, they're African, they're Indian, let's preach to the Indians. No. Prabhupada was so Krishna conscious. There's one instance where Prabhupada was in Hawaii and there was one servant was cleaning his room. And the servant saw this unusual looking bug he had never seen before. He said, Prabhupada, look at this bug. I've never seen such an unusual looking bug. So Prabhupada came over, he's also looking at it. And then Prabhupada said to the devotee, preach to the poor thing, chant it. Chant Hare Krishna. So the devotee started chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada wanted to help the bug. Because he saw everyone is a soul, not the body. Another time, Prabhupada was in Chicago, and devotees were preaching to this one person who was rather overweight. He weighed about 150 kilos. It's big. I took him to Prabhupada and introduced him to Prabhupada. And one of the devotees said, pretty big boy, eh, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, he's no bigger than you are. You know, he doesn't weigh any more than you. You don't weigh anything, he doesn't weigh anything. Because the soul, there's no weight for the soul. He said, you're seeing the body, I'm seeing the soul. So Prabhupada, he saw the soul. And therefore, he was able to convince so many people to take up Krishna consciousness. Sarva Sukha, Maya Santusta Manasa, and who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness. If we're satisfied in serving Krishna, we're not enamored by this material world. Then this verse goes on to say, wherever such a person goes, wherever he goes, he only finds happiness. When it's free of material desires, senses are controlled, who's peaceful, who is equal towards everyone, and who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness, wherever this person goes, he'll only find happiness. So people are looking for the key to happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. This is the key to happiness. Serving Krishna, pleasing Krishna. In this material world, there's no happiness in this world. Appears like it. Maya Sukhaya. It's like there's a story from the Mahabharata of one person who was in a forest. And he's walking in this forest. And sometimes in the forest there's blind wells, you don't see it. So this person, he fell into a well. And as he's fallen, he caught on, there was a root in this well. And he grabbed onto this root. And he's thinking, whew, good thing this root is here. Now, how am I going to get out of here? So he's holding on to this root. And as he's holding on to the root, he hears some chewing. And there's a rat, a black rat, chewing on one side of the root. And he's thinking, oh no, this is not good. How am I going to get out of here? And then he's hanging there and he hears some more chewing. And there's a white rat on the other side chewing. Oh no, this got to be a dream. This can't be true. What is this? And then as he's hanging, he looks down and there's a black snake on the bottom of the well. And he's thinking, oh my God, I got to get out of here. So he's hanging there. And then he hears some roar. He hears a roar from above. And there's a lion. No, tiger. There's a tiger above, looking down and roaring. And he's thinking, oh my God, this has got to be a dream. So, what to do, right? So as he's hanging there in this very awkward situation, he feels some drop on his head every few seconds. What's that? Except it's a honeycomb. There's a honeycomb hanging from the tree. The honey dropping on his head. So he puts his tongue out. In the honey. Yeah, life isn't so bad after all. So that's the material world. People are trying to avoid misery in so many ways. But, and there's a little pleasure, just like one devotee says, the material world is so much suffering, but if you get one drop of water, just like if you're in the forest, or you're in the desert or something, and you're dying of thirst, someone gives you a drop of water, what is that? That's not going to do anything. So this pleasure, it's like just a drop of water. No pleasure is there. But they're trying so hard to enjoy this world, but no. Happiness is in devotional service. This is the pleasure. This is the pleasure of the soul. So if we want to be happy, we have to serve Krishna. And this activity of book distribution, it's actually the best welfare activity on the planet. Because we're going to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is people are in illusion, thinking they're the body. No, we're the soul within. So the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam and so many books we have, they go to the root. They right from the beginning, they explain so much about reality, about the reality of the soul, about the reality of God, and time and nature, karma. So much is given by which people can be guided to happiness, be guided back to Krishna. So Prabhupada was very pleased by this book distribution. And when I joined, the emphasis was very much there to distribute books. Throughout the world, devotees are distributing books. Even still, so many books are going out. So when I distribute books, I try to have a certain consciousness. See, 95% of our ability to distribute books is in our consciousness. If we're in good consciousness, it's like one devotee asked me, so Vijay, what types of people are taking books now? So I told him, if a devotee is in good consciousness, anybody will take. Anybody. if you're in good consciousness. So how to have good consciousness? First, we have to have very good japa. You see, a nice thing about book distribution is it gives impetus to have good consciousness, because you know you're going out there and you're going to be meeting people and you're going to be trying to convince them to take books. It's not easy. Some of these people we approach, they never heard of these books that we're distributing, right? And some of them aren't interested. So we're trying to convince people to take books that aren't interested and never heard of the books. Not easy. So you have to have some Shakti, right? Krishna Shakti Vananahe Tarapravartan. Without Krishna Shakti, without Krishna's mercy, one cannot spread Krishna consciousness. So it gives impetus to chant good japa. Because you're going out on the battlefield. And if you're going on the battlefield, you got to be prepared. You have to good consciousness. And reading Prabhupada's books. Also, it gives impetus to read Prabhupada's books attentively. We're reading Prabhupada's books and we're chanting, but to do it attentively, that's a big challenge. Right? Another big challenge. But book distribution, it's such an important activity. It's such a treasured activity by Krishna, by Srila Prabhupada. And it's so important for the whole human society that we have to be prepared. We have to read Prabhupada's books attentively and hear the holy name attentively, and this will help us to be strong in this great service. So there's a few verses that I chant. And also, before I start, I make a prayer to Krishna. Krishna, please accept this as an offering to you. Book distribution is also an offering to Krishna. It's one of the most wonderful offerings to Krishna, because he's so pleased. So just like we're making offerings to the deities, book distribution is a very dear offering to Krishna. And there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita which is very deep. Labante Brahma Nirvana Mrisyik Sumakamasa, that one who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt, whose mind is always engaged within, who is always busy acting for the welfare of others, and who is free of sin, is understood to be already liberated. So that first statement, one who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt. Now, as we know, in this world there's a lot of duality, right? Happiness and distress, heat and cold, success, failure, a lot of duality. But this verse, Krishna says that one who is free of the dualities of doubt, if we're free of doubt that whatever Krishna arranges is good, then you're very peaceful. There's no anxiety. Everything that Krishna arranges is good. Sometimes we're out on book distribution and we're having a hard time. And we're like, Krishna, I'm trying. Why are you making this difficult for me? No, it's good. It's purifying. See, when we're distributing books, we're doing great benefit for them because they're getting books. And we're getting great benefit for ourselves because we're getting purified. We're getting purified. Because also we understand Krishna's in control and He's helping me. He puts us through difficulty to help us get purified, to help us understand I'm a soul, I'm eternal servant of Krishna. He's in control. I'm the servant. Yeah. So this verse is very, very nice. You get free of dualities, that whatever happens, it's good for me. And that's good for, because Krishna knows what He's doing. There's no accidents. Like quite often when I distribute books, as I'm talking to the person, I say, there's no accidents. I'm here to meet you. And a lot of people are a little spiritually inclined. Yeah, that's true. There's no accidents. All right, yeah, I'll take it. So another thing is when there are difficulties, when we feel we're having a difficult time, there's another verse. This is from the 10th canto, which Prabhupada says is the guide for all devotees. We're all trying to be devotees, right? Not easy. So Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion that this verse is the guide for all devotees. Tate nukampang susamik samano bunjana eva kritam vipakam vidvag porvya virdham namaste jivete yamukti pade sadoyava. So this verse is very important for all of us. This is spoken by Lord Brahma. He says, always seeking your compassion. He's speaking to Krishna. Always seeking your compassion, thus tolerating all difficulties as being due to his own past activities, and always serving you with his mind, body, and word. Such a devotee is eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. So whenever a devotee has some difficulty, he doesn't blame anyone, especially Krishna. But he knows it's due to my own past activities, something I did. Like you may be on book distribution and you're having a difficult time. So you can go a little, get a little introverted. Maybe I offended somebody? Maybe I wasn't chanting my rounds properly. He starts thinking, maybe I did something by which now I'm in this difficult situation. So that's the negative aspect of this verse. And then the positive aspect of the verse is, and always serving you with his mind, body, and words, such a devotee is eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. Very important verse. I've probably chanted this verse thousands of times on book distribution. So important. And then also in the 13th chapter, Upadrastana mantacha bharta bhokta maheswara paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmyam purushapra. This is 1323, where Krishna says, within this body there's another transcendental enjoyer. He's the Lord, he's the supreme proprietor, he's the overseer and the permitter. These two are overseer and permitter. He's the overseer. Neha, what is it? Neha Naham tastami vaikunta yoginam hridiyesua tatta tastami nar yaktar gayante madbhakta. Krishna says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in the hearts of the yogis, I'm wherever my devotees are spreading my glories. So when we go on book distribution, Krishna is there. And one devotee said, if you want to meet Krishna, go on book distribution. You'll meet Krishna. And anybody that's been distributing books for some time knows you feel the presence of Krishna. Because you might be having some difficult time. And then you pray to Krishna. This is the natural response of a devotee. You're having difficulty, you take shelter of Krishna. So you pray to Krishna, Krishna, please help me to be an instrument in your hands. Help me to have some compassion for these souls. So you pray to Krishna, and then the magic of Krishna begins. And so many people come and they're taking books. If we're sincerely praying, then Krishna just sends people. It's amazing. Mystical. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurjana. He's the master of mystics. Right? So you go out and you meet Krishna. Then if you want to meet Krishna, I highly recommend you go on book distribution. You'll meet him. And it's a nice meeting. Very auspicious meeting. You feel the presence of Krishna and it feels good. You may not be seeing Krishna with his peacock feather in his head, but with his flute, playing his flute, but you definitely feel the presence of Krishna. And this is what a devotee wants. A devotee wants to serve Krishna, wants to have compassion for the fallen souls. Like there's an amazing pastime of one devotee. I don't know if I mentioned this since I've been here. Maybe I have. Anyway, there's new people here. When Krishna, he left Vrindavan and went to Mathura, he met one person, Sudama, and he prayed to Krishna. So Krishna, he gave him a benediction. He was so pure, such a nice devotee. He said to this Sudama, Krishna said to Sudama, I'll give you anything you want. He said, Sopi Vravre Chalam Bhaktim, Tasmanivakya Lamani, Tad Bhaktesh Sodam Bhutesu Cha Dayampara. He said, Krishna, please, just give me devotion for you. Now he was such a great devotee that Krishna said to him, I'll give anything you want. Imagine if Krishna said that to you. I'll give anything you want. What would you ask for? So Sudama is very intelligent. Krishna, please give me devotion for you. Now he already had so much devotion, but this is a sign that there's no limit to the devotion that we can have for Krishna. Unlimited. So he wanted that unlimited devotion for Krishna. Please give me friendship with your devotees. In this age, Kali, it's difficult to have friendship with devotees. If you have one or two really good friends, that's you're doing good. In Kali Yuga, right? So he's a pure devotee. He probably had so many friends. But he prayed, please give me friendship with your devotees. And then the last one, he said, please give me compassion for all living entities. When I read that verse, I thought, wow, that hits everything. Because we want devotion for Krishna, we want friendship with the devotees, and we want compassion for all living entities. That covers everything in this world. If we could have those three things, we're very healthy spiritually. So we should pray in this way for compassion. Icha dvaisa samudvena. Living entities in this world are born bewildered by the dualities arising from desire and hate. We're born in this world with hate, with dualities. So this is diametrically opposed. To have compassion, completely opposite of hate. So we want to be free of this enviousness and this hate. This enviousness that began with our envy of Krishna, and then it expanded. So it's so important that we have this desire to help the conditioned souls, and amazing things happen on book distribution. I'll tell you a couple of stories, and then maybe we'll have some time for some questions. There was a devotee distributing books in Santa Barbara, California. And he approached one person who was walking his bike. He said, hey, how's it going? Where are you from? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, I was riding my bike and I wrecked, crashed. I hit my head. I have no memory. I don't know my name. I don't know anything. Zip. So the devotee said, well, I'll tell you who you are. You're the eternal servant of Krishna. And he said, well, at least now I know something. Sometimes when we're kids, you have these things, and it's you have a marker and it makes some mark there, and then you take it and you lift it up, and then it goes blank again. Remember when we were kids? So it's like that. Everything was just blank in his life, just blank. So now, good time to put Krishna in. So the devotee understood the very awkward situation with this person. So he took him under his wing and he took him home. He looked like a nice, intelligent boy. So and he taught him all about Krishna. He became a devotee, became a book distributor, and he became a very good book distributor. Omkar Das. So pretty amazing, huh? Yeah. Amazing things happen on book distribution. There was another person who is distributing books, and he gave it to one family, and the family took it home, and it was in their house there. And one thief, this is in Siberia, Russia, one thief broke into their house, and while he's in the house looking for something to steal, car pulls up in the driveway. And you think, I better get out of here. But anyway, let me get something at least before I go. So he saw a book on the table, Bhagavad Gita. So he grabs the book and he takes off and goes home and he's looking at the book. And so I'd like to read, maybe there's something here, So he's reading it. And he becomes very attracted to Krishna by reading the Bhagavad Gita. Now he's with a family of thieves. His brothers are thieves, his father is a thief, his wife is a thief, It's a dynasty. So he starts, developing the qualities of a devotee by reading the Bhagavad Gita. And his wife starts getting worried. Hey, wait a second, this is how we make a living, She's starting getting worried, this person might become a good person. So then she's shopping somewhere in a mall in Moscow. And she took a trip to Moscow. And then she sees one person with these books. She looked familiar from what her husband had. So with all the people in the shopping mall there, he went straight to her. And he said to her, "This is a very good book. It will change your life." And she was shocked that he passed all the other people, went straight to her and gave her the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So she was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So she went back to Siberia and she's reading this book and she was like, "Wow, yeah, this is valuable knowledge. This is the truth." So she also became a devotee. Now the fathers are like getting really upset, and he even threatens to kill his son, well, son-in-law actually. So then the wife stuck up for him because she's now a devotee, and she told the father, "Get out of the house. You're out of here. Finish. Go away." He left, and now they became devotees. So Prabhupada said this mission is to turn the asuras into suras, the jagais and madais into devotees, and that's happening all over the world. So many jagais and madais have become devotees. So many asuras have become suras. So it's possible. There's one devotee, he was distributing books in South America. And two thieves came to him, they had knives. And they said, "Give me your money." And Banabhatta, anybody here know Banabhatta Prabhu? He's got a very strong voice. So he was thinking, these people look so crazy that even if I give them money, they'll probably do something crazy. So he just thought, I'll take shelter of Lord Nrsingadev. So he just started chanting. He's got a loud voice. Namaste Nrsinghaya Pralada Lada Dayane. Went through the whole prayer, loud, not soft like I just chanted. And then he opened his eyes and he didn't see them. Then he looked down, and they were bowing down to him. And they said, "Please, por favor, we didn't know you were a saint. Please forgive us." And Banabhatta said, no, it's okay, but don't do this anymore. You should stop this. God is not pleased by this activity. And then he gave them invitation cards to the temple. And they came to the temple. Got purified. Got some prasadam, some books. So, in this book, Kurmadas, the name of the book is The Transcendental Adventure. What's the exact? The Great Transcendental Adventure. So it's an adventure. Book distribution is a real adventure. And Krishna, as you know, he always protects his devotees. So it's a wonderful activity. So today is the Sunday morning news. All over the world there's the morning news. So today here at the temple we have the good morning news. Throughout the world we have temples that go on book distribution, and so many devotees going out. So in Mayapur, I always have the award ceremony for temples that have done very well throughout the year, the previous year. So the last year, 2022, the Sydney temple was #1 in Australasia. And that's the certificate. Sydney, Australasia #1, and they did 53,746 book points. So Ganesh Yam Govinda Prabhu will come and receive the award. Thank you very much for guiding the devotees here. Thank you. You know, all over the world there's the morning news and the evening news, and it's all bad news, right? But here it's good news. There was a radio program in Brazil called the Good News Channel. It was just good news, no bad news. But they had to stop after 6 months. They ran out of good news, you know. But you never run out of bad news, right? There's always bad news, and people like to hear the bad news. There's some reason. Yeah. So, is there any question or comment? Yes.
Hearing some of the experiences and stories of book distribution, it's amazing that how people actually get in touch with the book and then they just become devotees. But here, there's always this importance of association and everything. So, how do we? And we sometimes feel, oh, we might. It's easier to cultivate a devotees coming to temple rather than going out and giving a book to someone. You never know what that person then become devotees lost in the material world. How do we convince our mind that it's beneficial to go out and meet somebody new and give a book?
Well, you got to beat your mind. What was it, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? He said, in the morning we have to beat our mind 100 times with a shoe. In the evening 100 times with a broomstick. Right? So yeah, the mind will come up with so many excuses why not to go out. Oh, how are they going to appreciate this? Prabhupada said if they just touch a book, they benefit. And Devamrita Swami, he was listening to a lecture. Prabhupada said if they just touch a book, that means next life they'll at least get a human form. And he had to repeat it just to make sure he heard it right. You know? So much benefit. Many people, they give donations. They give a donation. I mean, for how many lifetimes have they not done service? They just give a donation. They get so much benefit. Prabhupada said they just read one line, it could change their life. So most people that we distribute these books to, they're not going to become devotees, obviously. We've distributed well over 500 million books, and we don't have near 500 million devotees around the world. But they're all benefiting. Everybody that gets a book is benefited. We can't understand how much they're benefiting. They may not become devotee in this lifetime, but know for certain, without a doubt, they're benefiting. In the early days in our society, devotees would hear something from Prabhupada, and sometimes they would take it literally. So that statement, beat your mind 100 times with a shoe. So they would go down to the shoe room, and each of the devotees would get somebody else's shoe, and they would 100 times. And Prabhupada heard about that and said, no. You beat your mind with your intelligence. Hearing the philosophy, that's beating the mind. So devotees stopped doing that, and many of them lamented because that was a good part of the morning programming. San Francisco. So, Yeah, we have to beat our mind. It's very good for us. It's very good for the soul. For the mind doesn't want to do it because the mind doesn't like rejection. Yeah, doesn't like to be rejected. But it's very good for the soul to go out and offer people Krishna consciousness. It's very purifying for the soul. We develop humility, tolerance, kindness, because you have to have that. There has to be some compassion there, otherwise we wouldn't even bother. So many good qualities come out by going on book distribution. Okay. Any other question or comment? Yes. Okay, so the question is, sometimes we go on book distribution and the people, they look happy already. Some of them look happier than some of the devotees. Well, there's, as it's said here, there's Maya Sukhaya, there's illusory happiness. It appears like they're happy. But at any moment, something can happen and just remove that Maya Sukhaya, that illusory happiness. Just like I mentioned earlier, Steve Jobs, he was multi-billionaire, had everything going for him, so many people envious of him. Then he gets this cancer and dies. So at any time, things like this can happen in the material world. But devotees, they get cancer, and what was it Bhakti-tirtha Swami said? It can't get better than this. Now, who's ever heard of a cancer, someone's dying of cancer, and they're saying, it can't get better than this? Because he's taking shelter of Krishna. In any circumstance, a devotee takes shelter of Krishna. So therefore, that's real happiness. Yeah. This Maya Sukhaya, it's there, then it's gone. It's there and gone. And even when it's there, the so-called happiness there, it's just material. It's not real, tangible happiness. Yeah. It's just, just like they're intoxicated, and they're laughing and joking, and they're completely drunk. But what is that? That's not happiness. Yeah. They say so many foolish things, and then the next day they're sober and they, oh my God, what did I say that for? So yeah, they're intoxicated. It's an intoxicated Maya Sukhaya. It's not real happiness. Real happiness is where it's always increasing. And it's on the spiritual platform, not the material, gross bodily platform. Okay? Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, same. We got to cross that river. Not easy. Got to be a good swimmer. And swimming across that river means that we have to take shelter of Krishna. Krishna will help us. Yeah.
Has Durga Devi got any role to play in the higher planetary systems?
What?
Has Durga Devi
Durga.
has got any role to play in the higher planetary systems? For example, Swargaloka or Satyaloka?
I'm sorry, I don't. No, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. I mean, if they worship Durga, they can go to the higher planets, I guess. I mean, I don't know. We don't worship demigods, so Actually, Prabhupada, he was so happy to come to America because the big problem in India is that they worship so many demigods and so many gods. And well, what about Krishna? What about Durga? What about Ram? What about Brahma? There's all this. What about Shiva and Ganesh? And then Prabhupada comes to America, and they don't know anything. Slate, just complete. And so he tells them about Krishna. He said, "Oh yeah, Krishna's nice. All right, I'll worship Krishna." So that was a big plus for Prabhupada when he came to the West. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
We were talking
Yeah, people want to be in. The question is what is it that, for those on the internet, that inspires a devotee to accept inconvenience to help remove the suffering of the people in general? Well, because he understands that there's the best thing that people can have in their life is Krishna. So it may be an inconvenience. Actually, in the beginning, it's an inconvenience because the mind may not appreciate the rejection, the austerity. But in the mode of passion, it's like it's bitter. No, excuse me. In the mode of goodness, it's bitter in the beginning, then it becomes like nectar. So it's bitter in the beginning. It's a little inconvenience. But as one continues on, then it becomes like nectar. Therefore, we have a whole book called The Nectar of Book Distribution. So why is it called The Nectar of Book Distribution? If it's an inconvenience, otherwise it'd be called The Inconvenience of Book Distribution. It's called The Nectar of Book Distribution because it's nectar. You know, so many people I know that were distributing books for many years, practically without exception, they say that the best years of their life was in book distribution. But it was an inconvenience. So why is that? Because they know it was pleasing to Krishna. Therefore the heart felt satisfaction, mind felt satisfaction by this activity. So because it's pleasing to Krishna, therefore a devotee accepts the inconvenience, and it's beneficial for the conditioned souls. There's no doubt in his mind that this is good for them, and it's pleasing to Krishna. Okay, maybe one more. Okay, I got a flight that I got to catch. We had one more? You had a question? He left the temple or left the book distribution? Okay.
And then half an hour later, we were like traveling with two people. So we were just praying and praying. And one man comes and gives this donation, says $50 for you. I'm fine, no books, but continue the service.
You see? You go out on book distribution, you meet Krishna. You see, Krishna inspired him. No, you're doing good. Please, continue. Yeah. So he should have, see, if he would have known that verse, Tattena Kampang Susamiksamano, he would have been in the proper consciousness. So it's not Krishna, it's something we're doing, you know, we're not, you know, having proper consciousness or something we did in the past. So this verse is very important. 10:14:8. Tattena Kampang Susamiksamano. All the devotees should know this verse. Because Prabhupada said, all devotees should know this verse. It's a guide for all devotees. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai.